Hey guys, and welcome to Witches of the Moon. I am one of your hosts, Dia, aka Oreo of OreoOasis.com, and I think I got shorter. Well, it's just the way I'm sitting. Okay, so this week we're talking about cultural appropriation and working with other traditions. I'm trying to figure out how to take this conversation and not make it a 30-minute video because when you understand culture, not race, not race, because race is something that was invented by, well, not invented by him, but more so he took from the person he learned from and made it more out there. I think his name was Johannes Blumenbach or something like that. Look up a name, something to that order, and you'll find out where the origin of races came from and how this person, this person, and the one person was above him, started writing down in different races, black, white, red, da 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 da. When you go and when you consider the history of humanity, the whole idea of race really isn't that old. However, when you go back and understand culture, because there's always been culture, there's always been people in one place or another doing things their way for their region that works for them. So when you take the idea of cultural appropriation to the word culture and understand actual culture, and not skin tone, not racist, just culture, and then you bring it into 2 days' time of just culture, everybody culturally appropriates. When you look at it in that aspect, everybody, everybody, as far as their beliefs and their practices, have cultural appropriation in some way, shape, or form in this day and time, especially here in America. Now, what do I mean by that? What are some? I was gonna take it with food, like with certain foods and certain rituals, right? Cultural appropriation would be this particular area. They don't. They hold a certain animal as sacred. This animal is precious to them. So it's only certain things. They feed this animal, only certain things. They do with this animal, there's certain rings and stuff they wear, the jewelry that they wear around this animal, the certain oils and stuff that they prep and things just for this particular animal. This other person comes along, sees it, and what they'll do is they'll take the jewelry, they'll take the oils, they'll take the rituals, and they'll just wear it just to wear it, and they don't understand the actual meaning behind it or the rituals or why it's so important to that culture, and they'll take it and make it more so of a kind of like a fad. I'm gonna say kind of like a fad. So an example of that would be right now that no one pays attention to would be yoga. Yoga is heavily culturally appropriated, regardless of skin tone. It's heavily culturally appropriated because yoga is supposed to be, and even I do it. I'm not um, above this. I do it too, especially with yoga. But that's the reason why I'm using an example. Yoga is a whole way of life. There are people called yogis. It's a whole belief system. However, we take it as we do a couple of meditations, do a couple of poses, and now we say, yeah, we're yogists, we do yoga. We then created all types of different types of yoga. Naked yoga, goat yoga, steam yoga. That's cultural appropriation. Um, as far as cultural appropriation, as far as the African American traditions, I try to stay away from that topic mainly because before we could talk about appropriating an African American culture, we need to pinpoint what is traditionally African American. Well, a traditional, a traditional African religion. Half the stuff that we do now that we're trying to hold on so tight as an African tradition or African traditional religion has already been appropriated or mixed in with something else. So you're already holding on to something that's already mixed and it's not the true form anyway. And again, as far as other people practicing it, or again, appropriating it, not necessarily practicing it, appropriating it, meaning they're taking this and now, um, oh, okay. So to bring this part together, hoodoo. Hoodoo is heavily appropriated by all. By all. When you understand the tradition of hoodoo, you have New Orleans, you have Geechee, you have the down like the deep down south. That's totally something different there. Um, there's different forms. There's different forms of what we call hoodoo today. However, people have taken it of all skin tones and now threw in a crystal with it and do a cute little candle that they didn't really prep or do anything to it and it's selling to you as hoodoo to make a dime. That's appropriation. That's just appropriation. And again, I've seen that. I don't want this people the comments to go crazy because I've seen this with all skin tones, especially with hoodoo. And they've also appropriated hoodoo by saying that it is voodoo and it's totally different. Hoodoo is totally exclusive to the Bible. It's totally exclusive to the Bible. With hoodoo, all you really need is your Bible. However, people try to say hoodoo and voodoo are interchangeable. No, they're not. That's appropriation. So, but my main point is that when it comes to beliefs and you start studying the history of beliefs and what they really do and things like that, you'll start to see that all of it has been appropriate in some way, change, or form, and it mutates into something else. Now, with that being said, am I crazy about it happening? No. However, all life is change. All life is changed. Nothing stays the same. And the reason why nothing stays the same because the earth changes. So as the earth changes, we have to change. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to live on the earth. We have to be able to flow with the earth changes. As the earth get hotter and hotter, we learned how to create AC systems to keep us warm. That's change. How does that connect with appropriation with culture and with spells and stuff? Well, now since we're in a warm environment, since we have stoves and stuff, and since we have stores, we no longer have to go and actually pick the herb. We could just go to the store and buy the herb. So with that, there's a little bit of appropriation there because we don't know the person who picked the herb. We don't know the person. We don't know if it was blessed. We just know it was there. We don't know how it was picked, the environment was grown. We just go and get it. For those of us who don't have gardens. Also, we go and get all this exotic stuff because it's more available to us because it sounds cool because either it's so expensive or so rare it sounds good. That's appropriation because those stuff come from an environment that was meant for that specific area. When you in the craft, you're supposed to, like how traditionally you use what the environment was around you to create your way of life. So if it wasn't something that grew around you, it wasn't something you had access to use. But nowadays, again, with the internet, we have access to everything. So as far as I'm concerned, because of that access, everybody appropriates in some way, shape, or form. Okay? Now, again, I'm taking race out of it. I'm making it very clear. I'm taking race out of this because race can only goes but so far back. However, culture goes much farther back. I'll give you another example. Candles. Everybody uses candles. Do you know the candles that we use today at one time didn't exist? So when people used to sit there and mix their own fats and mold their own fats and take the time and energy to do all that stuff, how do you think they feel about us now buying a candle and saying, oh, this candle does the same thing that do? That's appropriation. In essence, it's kind of the same thing, but it's mimicking what they do, but it's not the same, and that's also appropriation. That's something that everybody does. It's not too many people, including me. It's not too many people that go back and actually mix the animal fats and work the herbs and animal fats and cook the animal fats down, and create their own wicks and stuff like that. And no, oil lamp is not the same. I'm talking about actually mixing the fats to make the waxes, because everybody didn't have access to beeswaxes, soy, and all this other type of candles that we buy in now. That's also appropriation, but nobody looks at that part of it. So as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to traditions and appropriation, everybody does it. Is it right? That's for you to decide. I'm not going to judge something that I do. You know, I'm just not. So that's that. I hope y'all be respectful in the comments. I mean, I'm ready to get the discussion going, coming from that particular angle. So, like, we could have a whole conversation on all the different stuff that's, yeah. Anyway, so hope everybody comments, rates, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Let's have a respectful discussion in the comments. And again, respectful don't mean we have to agree. Just learn to be, respectful of each other in our disagreements and have our conversations so that both of us can maybe learn something from each other. Who knows? All right, so don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Don't forget to watch everybody's videos, and I'll see you next week. Peace.